And turning now to campaign 2018 local matters. California isn't the only state holding primaries Tuesday. Voters in Alabama are also choosing nominees for November's elections. This will be the first statewide election since Democrat Doug Jones won the U.S. Senate special election against Roy Moore. Mike Cason is a state government reporter for the Alabama Media Group, which includes the Birmingham News, Huntsville Times, and the Press Register. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's start on the governor's race. Governor Kay Ivey took office after Governor Robert Bentley resigned last year over a sex scandal. Is she the favored candidate, and who is she up against?
She is the favored candidate. The big question is whether she can win without a runoff. She's got 3 legitimate challengers in the Republican primary. Governor Ivey's run sort of a front-runner campaign. She skipped the debates. Her opponents criticized her for that, but it's unclear whether that really hurt her. And it's just a matter of whether the other 3 can mount up 50% of the vote between them. If nobody gets a majority, then the top 2 will move on to a runoff next month.
All right, so as far as the congressional races go, most of the attention is on 4-term incumbent Representative Martha Roby of Montgomery. How is she facing off against her 4 challengers?
Well, that is the race that's attracted by far the most attention. Congressman Roby, after the Access Hollywood tape surfaced a few weeks before the 2016 election, she denounced President Trump, called for him to step down as the nominee. She was certainly not the only Republican to criticize Trump at the time, but that sort of has stuck with her, although she's tried to put it behind her. She said she works well with the administration, shares a lot of the same goals, and one of her campaign ads, she even has the border wall, image of the border wall in one of her campaign ads. But that's what put a target on her back. And similar to Ivey, I think it's similar to the governor. I think it's a matter of whether she can win without a runoff. With five candidates in that race, that might be difficult.
So then what are the key issues for voters that you are seeing in your state this election year?
As far as issues, I think with the primaries, it's less about issues than it is about personalities and individual candidates, because Republicans generally agree on most issues. Democrats generally agree on most issues. So I think your primary voters are more engaged voters in the political side of it, and I think it's more about the personalities. I think the issues will come more into focus with the general election.
Right.
In Alabama, it's always the economy and public education are probably the 2 biggest issues.
Sure. Now, Alabama is, of course, a deep red state, but are there any indications that Democrats could be making headwinds this election?
I think there are. I think they remain decided underdogs in any statewide race. But, Doug Jones went over Roy Moore in the special election in December. Although there were some special circumstances in that race, it has to energize the Democrats and give them some hope. They have more candidates running. They're certainly more energized in the governor's race this year. They have the mayor of Tuscaloosa, Walt Maddox, former state Supreme Court Chief Justice Sue Bell Cobb, and a former state representative from Coleman. There's 3 of the candidates. They have 4 candidates, but they're certainly more competitive. And they appear to be more competitive than they were 4 years ago. We'll know more after Tuesday because we'll see how many voters voted in each party.
Right. Well, yeah, wondering about turnout there. Now, I just want to talk about President Trump for a moment because he has an approval rating of above 50% in Alabama. At the same time, candidates he has endorsed there haven't always won. So at this point, how much influence do you think the president has on tomorrow's election?
I don't know that the president has much influence, but based on the campaign ads you see from Republican candidates, they're still convinced he is very popular in Alabama among Republicans, and they want to align themselves with him as closely as possible. He's a constant presence in the television campaign ads that you see.
All right, well, we will see if that strategy works. Mike Cason, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.